Okay, database security. So on database security, the main responsibility or role belong to DBA is to support the database security for users, which includes like protecting the database as well as granting access to the users. Now, to understand the users, whenever you install SQL Server, you see two options there. One is Windows authentication, another one is mixed mode. So on Windows authentication, we will check that. There are two options. One is Windows authentication, another one is Windows plus SQL Server authentication. This is installation screen where you can see this Windows authentication and mixed mode. Now what is it? So a question comes here: what kind of user can connect to SQL Server, or you can grant access to the users? So there are two types. One is Windows user, another one is SQL Server user. So Windows domain has ability to create users, as well as a local server, local computer has ability to create user. The concept of domain is domain user, and which is important. We will not deal with a local user because this doesn't work. So there are a lot of issues if you just grant access to local user, because it doesn't have access on domain, and that's the reason. Basically, some system logins will be there, belong to local user, and that will have admin access, but that's system. SQL Server itself uses those users. But for a general user, there will be two type basically. One is Windows ID, which is created in domain server, and another one is SQL Server ID. So we will see what is domain ID. So to understand domain, this is the domain server. So we have multiple domain managers, and basically from anywhere you can create a user. And domain means like this is a network you can consider. So if you are a member of this domain, okay, you will be able to access any resources if you, as long as you you get the access for that server. Let's say you have on this domain, you have multiple database servers. So you have to be a member of this domain, and then domain to get access on any server. Now how you can get access? So this is the Active Directory. The tool name is Active Directory, where the domain administrator, you can see here computer, you can see here user, will create users so that people get access. Now two types are there. One is the administrator creates individual user as well as domain user. And any computer that needs to be added into this domain, you have to click the right click and then add that. That's the way it works. If you configure just Windows, then only domain admin IDs will be getting access to that. There are another option that is service ID. So that service ID is not belong to a person. Basically for application, this service ID gets created. It has a little more access than others, and some features are additionally there for network usage. So that's why service ID is created for users, and then for application, these IDs are used, and DBA grant access to these IDs. We will see that. On the other hand, we have SQL Server and Windows. So along with this, SQL Server logins will be there. So SQL Server has ability to create its own login, and that doesn't have any relation with the Windows domain. So what it does, like if you want to get connected to a SQL Server, as long as you have connection somehow, then you can use this SQL authentication, and you provide username and password, and then you can get connected. So when you connect to SQL Server, you click on Connect Database Engine. Then there are two options: Windows or SQL Server. So if you select Windows, then it will automatically take your username and password. This part will be on domain, is like domain name. This is my computer name, but actually when you go somewhere, then it will come the domain name, and then your username or some IDs will be there. If you select SQL number, SQL ID authentication, then you have to put as login that will be created in SQL Server, and you will use username and password and get connected.